Basic Brewing Radio is brought to you by the American Homebrewers Association, a worldwide community of fermentation enthusiasts. Join the association in September and receive a pound of free Azacca hops with your membership. That's a pound of free Azacca hops. Go to homebrewersassociation.org and use the promo code SEPTHOPS. That's SEPTHOPS when you join or renew. A pound of free Azacca hops. That's homebrewersassociation.org and use the promo code SEPTHOPS. homebrewersassociation.org. Welcome to Basic Brewing Radio for Thursday, September 2nd, 2021. I'm James Spencer. Here at Basic Brewing Radio, we're all about home brewing. This week I talked to Jeff and Matt Joseph, the father-son team behind Eureka Springs Brewing. After a lifetime of home brewing, Jeff decided to go pro and bring his son back home from Alaska to open a brewery. If you go to basicbrewing.com, you can find archives of our audio and video shows. And if you go to basicbrewingshop.com, you can find our DVDs and our brewers' logbooks. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Basic Brewing and find our show page on Facebook as well. If you want to support us financially, check out patreon.com/basicbrewing. And many thanks to everybody who's helping out in that way. If you go to patreon.com/basicbrewing, you can see a long list of stuff that you can access if you sign up as a supporter. Good news! Steve and I got together yesterday evening to record 2 video episodes. One is about my hot porch blackberry hard seltzer, and the other is about a fun and delicious lavender smoked braggot that Steve made. And I was impressed not only with the character of that braggot, but the sophisticated techniques that Steve used to make it. And financial supporters will see the first of those episodes this Friday. Let's take a look into the mailbag and talk about small batches. We haven't talked a lot about small batches recently. You know, Steve and I have been proponents of small batch brewing, since the beginnings of the podcast. The first episode of Basic Brewing Video was about a small batch experiment. Well, listener Jeff in southern New Hampshire asked for my advice via email in designing an experiment to explore hops with his friends who only brew mead and cider. So they're not familiar with how hops can be different, both in variety and how you use them. He wanted to make 4 beers, 2 with hops added at the beginning of the boil, and 2 with hops added as a hop stand, like in our hop samplers. So after an exchange of email, Jeff wrote back a while later, and he says, I finally got around to performing this experiment. The 2 hops I chose were Fuggle, 5% alpha acid, and Galaxy, 16.8% alpha acid, to be on the opposite ends of the spectrum. To make the math easy, I just used an ounce of each hop in each 1-gallon batch. This resulted in both of the Fuggle beers being very pleasant, and the difference between a 30-minute edition and a flame-out edition was very clear. Jeff says the difference was also very clear on the 2 Galaxy beers, I bet. But as you can imagine, 1 ounce of a near 17% alpha acid hop in 1 gallon makes an undrinkable beer as far as bitterness is concerned, at least to my panel of tasters. But everyone loved the fruitiness of the Flame Out Galaxy sample. Thanks for the inspiration with your hop sampler series. Well, excellent. I appreciate Jeff getting back with us on that. And I bet those beers were fun to taste, even the most bitter one. That probably resulted in some bitter beer faces amongst the mead folks and the cider folks. I appreciate your writing back and updating us, Jeff. Listener Sean wrote in after getting some inspiration from a video episode. Sean says, just dropping a note from Bloomington, Indiana to let you know about a brew inspired by your 103119 Bourbon Stout episode. I made a quick 3-gallon Belgian double extract batch. 2 of those gallons I spiked with 3 ounces of Buffalo Trace bourbon. Much like yours and Steve's experience, the bourbon just hung out in the background and never took over, and much better than the unspiked version. Such a good change from most bourbon beers I've tasted. It's popular among my brewing friends and is being worked into my regular rotation. Well, excellent. I appreciate that, Sean. So whether you're brewing small batches from the beginning or splitting up a larger batch later on, brewing smaller can help you explore ingredients and techniques without risking a lot of expense. Off the soapbox now. Now, you would think that I was being sponsored by Small Batches. And if I could work that, But we like to brew, quote unquote, full size 5-gallon batches, but we also like to brew small too. Our friends and sponsors at High Gravity in Tulsa are going to be hosting the Tulsa Craft Beer Invitational on Saturday, September 11th. It's coming up. 30-plus Oklahoma breweries will be represented. At last count, I saw 33. That's around half the breweries in the state, maybe more. And they're going to be serving special one-off beers brewed for the event. It's going to be outside, and attendance is limited, so you can feel safer in these COVID times. And while you're there, you can visit High Gravity, since you're going to be in their parking lot, and see the incredible inventory of homebrewing and winemaking ingredients and equipment, including Warthog electric brewing gear. And whether you're going or not, you can order your Warthog gear on highdgravitybrew.com using the code EBC75BB to save $75 off your Warthog purchase. I'm planning to be at the Tulsa Craft Beer Invitational, and I'm trying to talk Steve into going too. Check out High Gravity's Facebook feed for information on how you can get tickets. That's Saturday, September 11th in the parking lot of High Gravity in Tulsa. Check them out at family-owned and operated highgravitybrew.com. That's highgravitybrew.com. Okay, as you know, if you're a longtime listener to the show, I've been documenting the growth of commercial brewing in and around my home here in Northwest Arkansas. It's taken the form of big production breweries and small, more intimate spaces as well. Well, Eureka Springs Brewery is definitely on the smaller side, but what they may lack in volume, at least at this point, they make up for by making some solid, delicious beers. Well, Jeff Joseph, welcome to Basic Brewing Radio.
Thank you very much.
And Matt Joseph, welcome to Basic Brewing Radio.
Hey, how's it going?
We are here at Eureka Springs Brewery here in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and I've got a large flight of beers in front of me. So we've got our work cut out for us here today. But first of all, I've read your story online, but I want to hear it from you. How did y'all get involved in brewing, and how did you wind up, going pro?
Well, it was all from the age of 15, I was first introduced to home brewing, and kind of was very intrigued with it at the time, and started brewing on my own. Matt has seen me brew quite often there at the house, and we it was really just a hobby. And I worked 23 years at a AME firm, and got laid off and decided to take my 401k and invested in a brewery.
Oh, there you go. And I have to clarify, your dad and Matt is his son, so what did your wife think about that idea?
Well, she had faith in my home brewing abilities as well, so she didn't really bat an eye.
Oh, well, excellent. Excellent. It's good to have support.
Yes, it is.
So, Matt, where were you when your dad came up with this idea?
I was actually living in Alaska, driving boats when he got laid off. We'd been talking about it for quite a few years before, and finally just came around. Let's do it. So moved back and started it up.
Wow. So you were kind of dangerous catch kind of thing, or what?
It was tour boats and pilot boats.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Less dangerous.
Way less dangerous. Yeah.
I used to work for a company that owned a fishing company for a while, and so I've seen some scary videos of fishing boats up there in Alaska. So
yeah,
those people earn their money for sure. So how difficult was it to get into the business? I mean, what were the steps? I'm sure there are still a lot of homebrewers out there who listen to the show every week and say, that's me. I want to do that.
The most scary part, I guess, is actually dealing with the the federal government and state government, but there's really nothing to be scared of. It's just something unknown you've never done before until you try it. And I found everybody very, very helpful to work with, and they helped us along the way. It was really no problem.
Wow.
I was afraid of nothing, actually, basically, for no reason.
And there are plenty of breweries around nowadays, especially in Arkansas, in this part of the country, that you could maybe get some advice from every now and then on those kinds of things. And they say that Arkansas laws are pretty good for setting up a brewery. Have you found that to be the case?
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Very helpful.
So I've got 7 beers here in front of me, and for the record, I'm not going to drink them all. I'm going to be a responsible taster. So where should I start?
Oh, probably the wheat or the blonde.
Yeah, I'd probably start here with the wheat for sure.
Okay.
It's a Belgian style.
Ooh.
With the coriander and orange peel, sweet orange peel.
Oh, that's good. This is a cloudy beer. This is an East Coast Belgian. It's delicious. Talk about your grain bill, and give us a peek into your ingredients and your recipe.
Well, it's really not too difficult. Had a lot of some wheat in there, obviously some Belgian wheat we use. We tried to stay true to the beer that we're brewing as far as the ingredients go.
The yeast character really comes through along with the spice. It's got a nice juicy, citrusy character to it. It's very nice and refreshing. And we've got customers coming in. We're a working brewery here today. So what was the yeast that you used on this?
We use fermentus dry yeast. It's a Belgian yeast, 134, I believe is what it is.
And do you ferment a little hotter than normal?
Slightly, yeah.
Yeah. I see that probably helps with the fruity esters and such as that.
Yep.
It's very nice. It comes through. Really, really well. And it'd be nice to sit out on your patio today and drink this beer in particular. So talk about your location.
Well, we're located on 5 acres, right on the edge of town. You can see we've got a gorgeous view right behind us. We have wildlife that come out. We're really lucky to find this spot. It was
100% wooded.
Oh wow!
Yeah, there was just 100% trees about the size of like your forearm or so. Just the whole entire 5 acres.
Oh. So there was some wood cutting that had to go on.
Yeah, we cleared that by hand.
So we could keep the couple of big trees that we have and have some nice shade in the afternoons and evenings.
That's very nice. It's nice that you've got the indoor option. Then you've also got a lot of property out back, so people can enjoy beers safely distanced outside as well. So talk about your system.
It's small as far as craft beer breweries go. It's a 3-barrel system. We brew most everything we brew. We sell out of our tap room. We do have a few accounts that we deliver kegs to. It's a stout. Tanks built it for us. It's wonderful. It's all electric. I chose electric to kind of keep the heat down because it is exposed to the tap room, and I didn't want to create too much heat.
Yeah, there's nowhere to hide. You're right there. You're right there working here in the tap room, basically, which I think is cool to see, for people to see where their beer comes from. So, a few years ago, brewing with electric was kind of a new thing, but you're happy with brewing with electricity.
Yes, yeah. I think the key component is to change out the heating elements. Rotate them to keep them from too much buildup to give little off flavors.
Huh. So on the type of system that you have, that you do have some sort of buildup on on the.
Yeah. The sugars in the wort will accumulate, so it's best to change those out in between brews and let the others get cleaned.
I've got an electric system myself, and I've had it for a few years, and I haven't noticed too much on mine. There may be a little bit, but I tend to, I have the luxury of getting in there and, and scrubbing it out. I've moved on to the blonde. So Matt, tell me about this beer.
Oh.
Don't forget your mic.
Sorry. It's really light, crisp, really refreshing for the outdoor, hot summer day.
Mm-hmm. Is there some wheat in this one as well?
No. Yeah, it's a 2-row. Yeah, sorry.
Well, it's nice. It's got a nice grainy character to it. I mean, it's very fresh, and the grain bill really shines through. But there's enough hop bitterness in there to balance it out. So, where do you guys get your recipe inspirations?
We've just compiled those throughout the years, just kind of tweaking them from what we characteristics that we like in beers. Trial and error over the years. There's always a lot of that.
There's yet another delicious offering available from our friends and sponsors Ricky and Kelly at Groenfell and Havoc Meaderies up in Vermont. Ricky says that Rose Brew is back, and it's now shipping across the country right now. And if you follow them on Instagram and Facebook and such, you can see photos from customers who have gotten Rose Brew and are quite excited about it. Rose Brew is a tasty craft mead made from honey, of course, rose hips and rose water. And at 6.5% ABV, like many of the Groenfell and Havoc honey-based beverages, it is perfectly sessionable and great for summertime quaffing. Theodora M. on Untapped says Rose Brew is rosy sweet, just a tad tart, delicious craft mead. And John P. on Untapped says Rose Brew has a tasty and fruity bouquet, delicious. Groenfell delivers to most states across the country. If you order from Groenfell.com, you can find a wide selection of delicious craft honey-based beverages and find fun mead-related accessories too, like a tankard made out of a horn, and also one made out of wood that if you're a mead drinker, you got to channel your inner Viking there and get those. Check all that out at family-owned and operated Groenfell.com. That's GROENNFELL. So if you were to give advice for homebrewers, wanting to make the switch, as far as stepping up recipes, or what were the biggest challenges in converting from the kind of smaller homebrew size to 3 barrels?
Definitely the mathematics involved in scaling up, and then your numbers give you a really good indication of what you're going to come up with, but it's still your tongue, it's still your taste that makes you kind of fine tune that.
I'm onto the pale ale now. It's very nice. It's obviously hoppier than the blonde, but it's still got that nice grainy, fresh grainy character to it. Talk about your hopping strategies.
It is a hoppy pale ale. We use Citra hops in that. I love that flavor that it gives. And then we dry hop it with a fair amount afterwards. It's one of my favorites.
And do you rack it to, or you don't have to rack because now you've got the conicals. You can take the yeast out from under before you dry hop. But what are your dry hopping strategies? I mean, do you just maintain a cooler temperature, or what's your approach?
Yeah, we do knock down the temperature slightly after the primary.
Yeah. And then what's your magic time for dry hopping? How long do you usually go?
It depends on the beer. So like the hop creature, we actually dry hop it twice, and then the pale ale is about like 10-ish days into the fermentation, like there at the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's very nice. Again, all the beers that I've had so far are very, very clean and well fermented. So where should I go next? You were talking about the ESB as being one of your favorites, Matt.
Yeah.
This is a darker beer than what we've had before, and is it? Oh well.
It's also our initials, so yeah.
I'm a little slow. Eureka Springs Brewery. I was like, and you've got the name of the beer right on the.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
But and then I looked, and all the rest of them didn't have the name of the beer on them. So I'm a little slow. So talk about the malt bill on this one. It's like I say, it's more of a deeper copper color.
So it's really a lot of good malts in there. Like I absolutely, yeah. It's Maris Otter's the base malt, and then some C60.
Yeah, right off the top of my head, I can't.
Yeah,
I didn't tell you there was going to be a quiz.
Yeah, the Maris Otters definitely is the showcase there.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's really nice. These others have been kind of straightforward and clean and crisp. This has more of there's a bit more of a malt sweetness in there, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
There's kind of a nutty character, probably from the Maris Otter. The hop presence is dialed back a bit from the pale, which you would expect. But I don't know that I've ever had an authentic ESB, but this is very, very, very nice. And again, super clean. Did you use an English yeast with this one?
I believe that is a US 04 from Fermentus as well.
Okay. That may be my favorite so far. And maybe I'm
definitely
with you.
my favorite. Like it's my go-to all year round.
I don't know if you've influenced me or not, but. And then, so where should we stay in the UK and go for the
Yeah,
stout
I would
next?
too. Before you go to the IPAs, there.
Before you blow me out with hops here. It's a really nice dark color, obviously. So talk about the recipe on this one.
Well, we've designed that to be a little lighter bodied, and kind of a smoother, easier drinking summer stout.
Ooh.
But still has plenty of body to it. A lot of flavor.
Yeah, there's almost a smoky character to it. The dark malts.
The dark mark.
There's no smoke in there, though.
No,
right?
no.
So what are the dark malts that you use?
See, I think we have a little
Chocolate malt, brown.
Any black patent in there?
I think it's
There's not a kind of a
Crystal 120.
Oh wow, that's really nice.
Not a whole lot, but
There's a little bit of teeny bit of dark fruit character in there as well. That's really nice. It's nice and complex. Again, the hop character is nice and crisp, but it's not overpowering. It's not supposed to be. I don't know, Matt. I think the stout may be.
You think you like the stout more?
I think I might like the stout a little, but although they're both very good, and traditional in my mind. So what are your customers like? I mean, and does it depend on the time of the year?
it definitely depends on the time of the year. But we will sell a lot of that stout even in the summer. We do make a winter version of that. It's a Russian Imperial Stout that we put out, release around Christmas. It's hard to keep on the tap.
I bet.
Yeah.
So are there hop heads around this part of the country?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, my wife's one of them. And it's all she will drink are IPAs. She likes our beer, but
My wife as well, just nothing but IPAs.
Wow, excellent. My wife likes the darker beers, but I think she's coming around on the hoppier beers. In the beginning, when IPAs first started coming out, she referred to them, and if people play basic brewing bingo, they know what I'm about to say next. But she used to refer to them as vomit beers because the bitterness, on the back of on the back of your throat, it's kind of similar to the. But I think she's warming up to them. I think. Plus, I think that the the IPAs and the double IPAs, either my palate is becoming more accustomed to it, or the brewer's approach is more kind of finessed, or they're more balanced, or the bitterness is not so sharp. And am I making sense, or am I making that up?
I feel like double IPAs are definitely getting way better, like in my opinion. Like they're not as like sweet, almost like the high alcohol sweetness, I feel. So
yeah, in the beginning, the Stone. You mentioned Stone. Mm-hmm. Stone's Arrogant Bastard, which was a beer that was just daring you to drink it and like it. I think they were just piling on the hops, and it'd be interesting to taste one of those nowadays to see, because in the beginning when I drank one of those, I'd be like, oh, it's a challenge to drink. Now my palate's probably changed a bit. So which one should I go next?
I'd go Cyclops.
The Cyclops.
It's Centennial hops in that one.
Mm. Oh, yeah.
it's a pretty straightforward beer. I believe it just has some 2-row in there and some Crystal 60.
Mm-hmm.
Not a very complicated beer at all, but pretty tasty.
Pretty light, crisp, straightforward.
Mm. And it's a lighter color, lighter copper color than the ESB, but darker than the blonde or the pale. Mm-hmm. There's a nice malt sweetness to back up the bitterness, but there is a nice solid bitterness, and there is a ton of fruity hop flavor as well. I love Centennial. They call it Super Cascade. And you must have added a bunch at the end of the boil as well as dry hopping, right?
Yes, yeah, but I think it shows.
Mm-hmm. What's your strategy? I mean, do you rely a lot more on the end of the boil than the beginning, or what's your approach to this beer?
From memory, I think that one is pretty much all the way through is our hop additions.
Mm.
Heavy on the front end, but throughout. I think there's 3 different hop additions.
Mm-hmm.
And Whirlpool.
It's very nice.
Well.
Yeah, it's got that the hop fruitiness that you get when you add, post boil.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's not a New England IPA. It's not hazy.
Yeah.
It's nice and clear, and the juiciness is not what you'd find in a New England IPA, and it's more bitter, obviously. But it's a nice, solid example. I would drink that all day. It may, depending on my mood, we have a dividing line here between the hoppy beers and the and the more traditional English beers. Both are good, but like I say, I think it depends. May depend on the weather. May depend on my mood. Which one I would like better. This is really, really good.
Thank you.
Let's take a break to talk about our friends and sponsors at Imperial Organic Yeast. You know we love Imperial. With a pitch rate of 200 billion cells per easy-to-open package. I like to say my stir plate is dusty because I don't use it anymore to make starters for moderate gravity 5-gallon batches. My airlocks are usually bubbling before bedtime. Imperial keeps things fun with seasonal releases like their summer seasonal A46 Bartleby, which is a Hornindal Kvike strain, and the double IPA I brewed with it on my hot summertime porch turned out big and delicious, and the fermentation was maybe the most active I've seen. And check my Instagram feed to look at video of that. And coming up from Imperial as the fall strain is one that will appeal to cider lovers. Just a little tease there. It will appeal to apple and cider. Check out Imperial's cool and helpful videos on their YouTube channel to see how you can improve your homebrewing game. And drop me a line if you have a topic you want them to cover on video, and I'll pass it on to them. Ask your local homebrew shop about Imperial Organic Yeast, and check them out at imperialyeast.com. That's imperialyeast.com. And so we got one left. What's the last one on the rack here?
It's the Hop Creature. It's our double IPA.
It's an intimidating name. When you said before, I thought you said the Hop Preacher, and I was like, well, that'd work too. So, talk about this beer.
Well, that's it's 8.3% ABV, but it's pretty smooth for 8.3. I think the
90 IBU.
Oh my. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a new favorite. That does not taste like 8.3. That's amazing. That's really so what do you do? Do you do anything special to take care of the yeast when you're fermenting such a big beer?
It's a pretty healthy amount of yeast nutrient that goes in during the boil, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's really about it. Yeah.
So, I take it you're probably pellet fans rather than whole hop fans.
Yeah.
I like to call whole hops wort sponges.
Yeah.
If you've ever used them, that'll make you a believer in the. So how do you? I assume there's an enormous amount of hops that goes into this. Is there anything special that y'all have to do, on brew day when you're brewing this beer?
The whirlpool is crucial to try to create that cone to keep it out of the
heat exchanger.
What's your hopping strategy on this? Is it kind of like the Cyclops, only more so?
Yeah, much. We use 3 different hops in there: Columbus,
Simcoe,
and
Magnum.
I believe it's Magnum.
Yeah. That's really good. I gotta stop drinking it. But I may get some to go because it's delicious. There is, like I say, there's a really nice. There is a bit of hop or of malt sweetness, but it's not overpowering. It's nice and clean, but it's balanced by a big bunch of bitterness, and then the fruity hop character. It's really good, and we've reached the end of the flights, and except for this is not seltzer, this is water, right?
It's water. Yeah.
So everything is super clean and super balanced, and well fermented and very well done. And I gotta say I'm impressed, and I've got to say, and I've got to think that that's just because of practice, right? As a homebrewer, for how many years did you homebrew before you got into this business?
Well, I was 15 when I was first introduced to homebrewing. In my 20s, when I started brewing pretty constantly. It's quite a while. No, people come in, home brewers, all the time and talk about their beers, and I encourage them to keep it up. I said, it didn't turn out the way I like. Well, just keep trying and make little changes. Don't be drastic. So.
And keep track of your recipes, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's what I preach. Not only because we sell a logbook, but but if you don't know where you've been, you can't chart your course of where you're going, right?
Yeah. And take the feedback you get from family and friends, even though most of them all say, "Oh, it's great." But sometimes you get some true ones that really help you out. And,
Find a jerkwad friend to be honest with you. I encourage people to find a style that they like and to brew it over and over again. Because if you keep hopping from style to style, it's just like doing anything. If you do something for a short period of time, you're not going to get good at it. But if you do it over and over again and kind of fine tune along the way, you're going to get better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and reading publications that will tell you all about the style of beer that you're brewing and what to expect out of it.
What was your system like when you were homebrewing? What did you have?
Started out with glass carboys at a 5-gallon system, the typical, and then we jumped up to a 26-gallon tiered tank, which we still brew on. A lot of our pilot stuff, our specialty stuff that we do.
And do you do special one-offs on there as well? What's the craziest thing you've ever done professionally?
Well,
in the brewery.
And it's turned out really well. I guess our toasted coconut that we need to get on really soon and have this fall. And then we did get into some barrel aging last year. We brewed a toasted coconut and threw it in a bourbon barrel for about 4 months.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Tasted like a bourbon almond joy almost. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
I need an email when that when that happens again. That sounds delicious.
We brewed a barley wine and threw it into a bourbon barrel as well for about another 4 months. That turned out fantastic. We do love our seasonal beers as well.
It sounds like y'all are having fun.
Definitely.
And it sounds like I'm jealous, because you get to have a bonding experience, as father and son.
Yeah.
So Matt, what's the dynamic like? Do you miss the fishing? Do you miss the tour boats?
This is way less stressful. This is a lot more fun.
That's awesome, and it's got and Jeff, it's got to be great to have your boy.
Oh yeah, it's the perfect dream job. I got to make beer every day and brew with my son every day. Yeah, it doesn't get much better.
Well, this is awesome. People need to come to Eureka Springs, Arkansas, and you need to come to Eureka Springs Brewery. And fall's coming up. Perfect time to come in and look at the foliage and have a beer. I appreciate the hospitality, guys, and I hope that you keep on brewing delicious beer. I'm very impressed.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Thanks again to Jeff and Matt. I get the feeling they'd rather be brewing beer and drinking beer than talking about beer. I had a fun time, and I appreciate their hospitality, and it took home a growler of that double IPA, which was delicious. If you have brewing questions, show suggestions, or just want to say howdy, write to james@basicbrewing.com, or just fill out the contact form on basicbrewing.com, and please don't forget to tell us where you're from. Check out our mobile-friendly shop at basicbrewingshop.com. Thanks to everybody supporting us through our Patreon page. Special goodies coming your way. Check that out at patreon.com/basicbrewing. It's all until next time. Until then, thanks for listening, everybody. I'm James Spencer. Production up for Basic Brewing Radio and our website is provided by Kelly Dotson. Basic Brewing Radio is a production of Active Voicing. We'll talk to you next time, everybody. In the meantime, stay well and stay tuned. So long.